Hey YouTubers, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick response video to Kevin's new thread. I believe YouTuber name is From the Pacific. He's kind of continuing a bit of a thread that's kind of gone around in a similar fashion, just kind of picking out your top 10 albums of a decade, and he's doing the 2000s. So I went through really quick and just kind of pulled out, actually I didn't pull out a few things, I just wrote down a few. And again, I always ask from the start, forgive me if I get any of the years wrong as I'm going through this, but I thought I would just kind of walk around the room and pull them out as they kind of come up, so let's just kind of jump into it. For the year 2000, there was one I wanted to make as an honorable mention on that because it's hard for me not to say it, but Godsmack's Awake, definitely one of my favorite albums by them and probably my favorite album of the year. But I want to give a little credit to another album, which is down here in my soundtrack stack. Oh, by the way, it's Deerhoof playing in the background. But it was this album here, which may be cheating because it's, kind of a soundtrack / compilation or whatever, but The Old Brother Where Art Thou, I mean, it was the Grammy winner album of the year for that year, but this really is just kind of the perfect album from start to finish. 2-disc set, a lot of, as always described as old twangy country, Alison Krauss, Gillian Welch, Norm Blake, the Soggy Bottom Boys. So, this really, I think, was the best album that came out in 2000, at least in my opinion. So we have Godsmack and Oh Brother Where Art Thou for 2000. And for 2001, this album is not on CD yet, so I can't, I'm sorry, not on vinyl, so I can't really show that, but this is what I would pick for 2000. Get some light on there where you can see it. Gillian Welch. This is Time. For those of you that know her, just kind of some, just good old-fashioned country music. I mean, as I mentioned her name on the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, she did a few songs on there, so it's not really surprising that this album would be one of my favorites for 2001 as well. But it's also a really good album with some good old-fashioned country on there, at least in my opinion. Let's see, for 2002, that came down between one of the Donna's albums that came out in 2000, but I thought ultimately the one I would pick for my favorite album for 2002 would be this one, just Señor Ross Untitled album. So, I mean, again, just something really kind of different, in my opinion, very much on a Pink Floyd type level, where it's really a lot more about the feel of the music than necessarily displaying all of their musical talents, and I think they did a pretty good job on this album. And this is the 2002 original release there, still sealed, which is nice. So that's what I would pick for 2002. For 2003, my runner-up was Lucinda Williams, but I ended up going with an album that might make you guys laugh, but this is the one that I thought of. Dido, Life for Rent. I think this is an album that got was very underappreciated, I think I should say. I mean, White Flag was a pretty big hit for her, and of course, she had that little thing she did with Eminem that she got kind of pretty well known for, but there are a lot of good tracks on this album that they just never really made, did become hits, excuse me, but were really, really good songs. I mean, the entire first side songs, 1 through 6 completely are just all really, really good songs. So if you're not really familiar with all the ins and outs of this album, make sure you take an opportunity to look at it because it really is a good album. Like I said, it's the one I'm picking for. Oh, sorry about the close-up there. The one that I'm going to pick for 2003. And then for 2004, again, that was a bit of a contest. As an honorable mention, I have to show this. It is such a good record. But Josh Stone's Mind, Body, and Soul. Very good, very soulful album. So I definitely want to kind of put that one out there. There was also some Black Keys that, I can't remember the exact title of the one that was out in 2004, but that's definitely one. But the one that I have to go with my favorite album for 2004, we have to go back to the CDs. It's going to be Seal 4. And again, song for song, one of the best albums to come out in quite some time. This album is just flooded with, oh sorry, it's the DVD sliding out there. I mean, just flooded with just good emotional music. I mean, just Seal doing what he does so well. So that would definitely be my pick for 2004, which is Seal 4, kind of fitting. Alright, and then for 2005, it's another one I might catch some flack on, but didn't really see a lot in 2005 that really jumped out at me, but one that came to mind, and maybe I'm forgetting a year on one or something, but I chose Coldplay X and Y. Again, everyone makes fun of Coldplay, but this really was a very, very good album. You know, Speed of Sound, Fix You, and just kind of Coldplay doing what they do. I thought it was a really good album. So that was my pick there. And then we'll go to 2006. For 06, I think I pulled it out here before. Yeah. I'm going with the Black Keys, Magic Potion. Just, you know, just traditional Black Keys stuff. I mean, you know, you kind of always know what to expect with them, but every single song on this album is a great song. I mean, there's not a single throwaway on the entire album. So that would be my 2006 pick. I'll put it back in the right space when I get done. Then we move on to 2007. Honorable mention is going to be Band of Horses, Cease to Begin, which is a very, very good album. But there was no way that I could skip over, let's find it here, no way I could skip over this one. In This Moment, Beautiful Tragedy. In such a short period of time, they become one of my favorite metal bands ever. I mean, I love everything they do. You know, the two guitar harmony, just kind of the creativity and a lot of the stuff they put together, it's definitely become one of my favorite metal bands. And this came out in back in 07, so that's going to be my favorite album from 2007. And then we go to 2008. This Will Destroy You was an honorable mention that I had in there, but there's no way that I would be able to deny my boys here, which is Metallica's Death Magnetic. I mean, I just can't get around that one. It was a very, very good comeback for them, and you know, really good album. The entire first disc is almost perfect from front to back. Not as crazy about the second disc, but still, that was definitely my favorite album for 2008. All right. And then when we shoot over to 2009, that was another tough one. There was actually a lot of good albums that year, more so to choose from than the other year, so I had to skip over some really good ones. But the one I chose, or the one I picked as kind of a runner-up, was the XX. You know, that's a really, really good album. Between you know, songs like VCR and the intro, I mean, it's just a really, really great album. But again, there was one album that I just cannot deny, and you've heard me rant and rave about this one before. And it's this album right here, which I can't get the thing to stop sliding out there, which is Wolfmother's Cosmic Egg. One of, and so I know you've heard me say this at least 3 or 4 times before, but this is one of the best hard rock albums to come out in probably 15, 20 plus years. When I'm talking hard rock, I'm not talking about just like how loud the guitars are, you know, all that type of, I guess, more surfacey stuff, but really talking about going back to the grit of, you know, the sound of like early Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin, and that type of just gritty down rock kind of music. And this album just hit it right on the nose. So without question, there's no other album from 2009 that touches that one. So that's my 2009 pick. And I think I might have cheated. I think I'm supposed to stop at 2009, but I went ahead and jumped into 2010. And I came up with this one, which is, it's kind of dark, I hope you guys can see it there, Neil Young's La Noise. I'll just take it over here. That would be my pick for 2010 album of the year. And again, I'm sure you guys have heard this one as well. I mean, just sonically, one of the most incredible albums I've ever had the pleasure to play on vinyl. Lucky enough to get 2 copies of it. Have one playing copy, and this is my sealed copy that I actually won in a contest, which is kind of cool. But that would be my pick for 2010. So there you go, YouTubers. Those are my picks. I know some maybe aren't quite as extravagant, a little more mainstream and that type of thing, but just when I thought about certain years, those are the ones that came to mind. So as always, let me know what you guys think, and I will look forward to hearing from you. All right, take care, guys.